The Retreat, Callum, Part 1. His alarm sounded, but he was already wide awake. He looked over to his wife's side of the bed, but she was long gone. She had gotten up with the girls over an hour ago. He had heard her sneaking out the door as Tess cried out down the hall, and his heart had swollen with gratitude. She was trying to give him the extra sleep that she knew he so desperately needed. But he had been awake. He always felt like he was awake. He swung his legs over the side of the bed and hopped into the shower. The excitement and anticipation bloomed in his chest. He waited all year for this day. He preferred being busy. The stillness and solitude of the winter season lost its charm after the first month. He'd much rather have been in the midst of the hustle and bustle, the kitchen humming in perfect harmony, like the cogs of a machine. He toweled off and pulled on one of his crisp work shirts. Grace always made sure to fold the collars back before hanging them up. God, he loved her. He walked into the living room to see his three girls heaped together on the couch in what Grace liked to call a cuddle puddle. Grace smiled sleepily at him. He smiled back, and the first stab of guilt threatened to ruin his good mood. He knew she had mixed feelings about this day. On the one hand, it was good. She knew that the busy season meant more money. It was job security. On the other hand, she knew that this day meant that he would be absent more. It would be Grace and the girls alone. He wished she would make more of an effort to make some other mom friends. She told him that he didn't know what it was like. Apparently, the mom culture could be toxic and uninviting. He just wished she had some company. He found himself wishing for the millionth time that he could be in two places at once. "Coffee's on," she said. He nodded, giving each of them a kiss. "Thanks for letting me get a little extra sleep," he said. "Big day. But we both know you weren't sleeping in there," she said. But she was smiling. "That it is, and guilty as charged," he said. Tess stood up and reached her arms up toward him. "Daddy, I want to carry you." He smiled at his daughter's incorrect way of asking to be held. He pulled her up into his arms and inhaled the sweet scent of her. Tess had always been a daddy's girl. "You go to work, Daddy?" she asked. Another stab of guilt. He would never forget the time that Tess had started to learn the names of each of her family members. She knew that Mommy was Grace and Sister was Mavie. When asked what Daddy's name was, Tess had said proudly, "At work." "Yes, sweetheart, Daddy's going to work. But you're going to have so much fun with Mommy today," he said, and he saw Grace subtly roll her eyes. "Yes, we going to the pool," Tess said excitedly. "Mavie, stay here," she said. Mavie responded by burying her face in Grace's chest. "No, Mavie is coming with us, Tess," Grace said patiently. "It's you, me, and Mavie against the world." Callum wondered if he'd imagined the sadness in her voice when she'd said it. Callum looked at his wife, and she managed to smile. He gave her another peck, rubbed Mavie's back, filled up his coffee, and headed out the door. The sun was shining and the sky was perfectly clear. It was that deep blue that only Colorado summers could bring. There was a slight breeze, and the trees were in full bloom. He could already tell that it was going to be a great season.